Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I was very happy because it's a big challenge, first of all, to be invited to this conference and to operate. And since I spent almost half a year of my life in Macedonia, I'm happy to be back. And secondly, I'm happy that it's a big challenge to have this so-called graveyard slot after lunch. So since you all had lunch and you had coffee, I hope that you do not feel too tired in order to follow me into the world of machine-to-machine. My name is Bernd Lievscher, and I'm a Managing Director of the Competence Center for M2M of Telekom Austria Group. And I want to explain you this world of machine-to-machine, how does this market work, and also the needed regulatory support that we need in order to develop it properly. So basically, machine-to-machine services refer to an automatic exchange of data between devices or between a machine and central data centers. Why does this happen? This happens for the purpose of remote tracking, for example, of trucks and containers, of remote monitoring, for example, of the data of weather stations, remote control of machines, diagnosis, remote update, and configuration management. The technology itself is not new. This is almost 15 years old, and it's also happening in all the markets, but right now it's developing quickly. The underlying transport is mostly data transport, and the machines that have these embedded SIM cards, they are not used for browsing the internet or for making voice calls, but simply for transferring data from A to B and steering something. The technology is used in a lot of different industries. So for example, automotive. In automotive, it will be mandatory from 2015 on that all the new cars that are produced and sold in the European Union have an embedded module which is transmitting an alarm to a central emergency center in case an accident happens. Just to give you one example. Utilities for the European Union, it will be mandatory by 2020 to have 80% of all the households, the electricity meters that you find there, connected so that the consumers can have a real-time picture of their energy consumption. And there's a lot more of them. There's point of sale, so a lot of vending machines and wireless credit card or bank card terminals are connected. It's cash registers. In retail and logistics, most of the trucks of especially international transport companies are connected, that they can be tracked and that this can be integrated in a central fleet management system. And in the future, I am sure that in the health business, we see a lot of embedded devices as well. One is always emergency, so for example, for elderly people that have a bracelet and something happens, they can push a button and help is coming, or in a more complex context for teletherapy. So communication is changing the way that we live, and we have seen in the first century of this millennium a super strong increase in the penetration of especially mobile telecommunications. So today it's normal that almost everybody has a cell phone, that you do not only call your friends, but that you SMS, that you use it for email, for browsing, for Facebook. And the next step is machine-to-machine communication. So now it's not people that use cell phones, but it's machines that via a so-called phone is connected to central applications. And this is taking off dramatically, mostly for three reasons. One is that it's making things more efficient, it's making processes more environmentally friendly. Secondly, it's new revenue streams. So for example, e-book readers. E-book readers get increasingly connected so that customers can download e-books wherever they are, and not only where they have Wi-Fi coverage. Or think about central heating systems It's normal that producers such as Weiland are offering gas-fired heating systems that automatically inform a central customer center when there is any outage of the heating system. And the customer center informs you as a customer before you feel that the temperature is decreasing. And there's a lot of these examples. According to research companies, currently, worldwide, there is a little bit more than 100 million devices connected by wireless machine-to-machine technology. By 2015, this will be 300 million devices, and the growth continues, and so there is various prognosis for 2020, but it will be between 2 and 10 billion connected devices, so more than the people on this planet. How can we support that in the best possible way? So first of all, there's the customers. It's mostly B2B customers that are offering services, very often on a multinational basis, and they are requiring international, multinational deployments and therefore services. So the telecommunications groups, they are consolidating their M2M operations and forming dedicated business units. So it's not only, in our case, Telekom Austria Group, but it's also for Deutsche Telekom, it's for Orange, it's for Vodafone, for Telefonica, for Telenor. All these are forming these centralized competence centers in order to support in the best possible way the local operations. What are they doing and what are we doing? It's mainly designing an international solution that works anywhere. Mostly global SIMs are used, and for example, Telenor, who was very, very early in that development, they are using Swedish SIMs for machine-to-machine all over the world. KPN is using Dutch SIM cards. Vodafone is using an international IMSI range. AT&T is using US SIM cards, and we, Telekom Austria Group, we are using A1 Austrian SIM cards. So these new SIM concepts, these global SIM models, are becoming a real standard of the industry. And let's have a quick look at the customers that we are currently dealing with in that field. Just to have some prominent names. There is many, many more, but just to have some brand names that everybody knows. So for example, the Amazon Kindle, and here in Macedonia you can order Amazon products. Yeah? So the Amazon Kindle is powered by AT&T SIM cards. Right now for Europe they were won by Vodafone, so in the close future it will be Vodafone SIM cards. And whenever you are ordering an Amazon Kindle, there is an embedded either AT&T or Vodafone SIM card in it, no matter where you are in the world. TomTom. TomTom is selling these personal navigation devices, and they changed their business model. They do not offer the hardware only anymore, so that you as a customer buy it once and then there is no relationship anymore, but they introduced services where you can use connected services that give you real-time traffic information and stuff like that, so that they improve your customer experience by using machine-to-machine. And these TomTom devices, they are connecting themselves to the data centers in Germany and the Netherlands. In automotive, I mentioned it already before, for example, BMW is equipping all the cars with SIM cards. In this case, I think it was Deutsche Telekom SIM cards, and Vodafone won the account. So anyhow, when you buy a BMW, Series 5, Series 7, whatever, it has embedded connectivity and offers some services to you. No matter where you are in the world, no matter whether you are in Macedonia or Greece or Brazil, wherever. And the same applies to international logistics companies that are equipping the fleet and goods with connected tracking solutions. There's even cases for very valuable goods. For example, the ladies will know that for very, very high-class handbags, when the deliveries take place, they have tracing modules so that you can trace them exactly where they are, and in these cases you throw away the tracing modules once the delivery applied, which I think can be improved. So why do operators offer such centralized solutions when, on the other hand, each country has all the national operators, all the national regulators, I mean, first of all, single points of contact are required. BMW or Amazon cannot possibly deal with any country and buy 100 SIM cards from Macedonia and 2,000 from Croatia and so on. But their production process only allows for a centralized solution. This can optimize logistics, so from a supply side point of view, it is the only way to have a centralized solution, also because in many cases, when you produce these gadgets, be it cars, be it e-book readers, you do not even know in which country they are going to be sold. Another aspect is increased coverage. Some of these services are absolutely critical. They're either business critical or for health and emergency services, even life critical. And the advantage of international SIMs is that they can rely on more than one infrastructure because they are in roaming. So this might, for example, mean that a solution that we sell here is on the VIP network, but in case for certain reasons the network is not available, then this automatically goes to other networks. And this is of high value to the customers. And the last reason is lower costs. To have machine-to-machine services and to operate them is a different business than to operate voice services. The usage patterns are different. It's a high volume business. You have 100,000 of SIM cards, but the data transfer is very, very low. And the amount of sessions, on the other hand, is very, very high. So you need to do this professionally, to have dedicated network elements and a dedicated machine-to-machine platform. And all this makes sense only if you offer a centralized solution. You would not be able to afford this if you build it up for each market separately in this global business. And now we come to the point, how are we able and what do we need to be able to offer these services as efficient as possible within the regulatory framework? First of all, there is European law. For the European Union, it's pretty easy because one of the main principles of the common market is free movement of goods. So if you lawfully provide a service in one market, then you automatically can provide it also in the other markets. Secondly, we are talking in machine-to-machine about closed user groups. So it's not a public telecommunication service. You cannot take these SIM cards. They are not meant to be used for web browsing or making any telephone calls. But they only allow data connections in most cases between the device and a predefined list of servers. Okay, nothing else. It's not for private communication. And for these closed user groups, a lot of the regulatory obligations that you have for the ordinary business are not really applicable. So let's first look at the addressing issues. Of course, with every SIM card there comes a telephone number. Communication in machine-to-machine in most cases does not happen via telephone numbers, but via IP addresses and URLs, which is also the reason why the bodies like the CEPT recommend to migrate in the long term to IPv6 for machine-to-machine. So basically the IMSI and MS-ISDN are irrelevant. Not only the national numbers, but also international E164 does not really make an impact for machine-to-machine because it's mainly based on the IP addresses. What we do now see, increasingly, especially in the region, is that there is dedicated numbering plans for machine-to-machine. And here we can only support the regulators. This absolutely makes sense, because when mobile operators, like BIP, are reporting figures, and these figures are getting bigger, because there's a lot of machines that are connected, and the regulator needs to understand what is our true human penetration, for example. How high are we with the human penetration? So it absolutely makes sense to have dedicated number ranges for machine-to-machine, but this should not exclude the use of international SIMs within the region, because this will anyhow happen. I mean, anyhow, Amazon is selling Kindle and BMW is selling cars, and so The same thing applies to mobile number portability. So we learned from machine to machine, the number is not important. The SIM is embedded in a car, or it's soldered into an e-book, so nobody is going to exchange the SIM cards. Don't worry for that. Mobile number portability will not make sense. And in some of the countries, we have lawful interception. And lawful interception, if it is required by the regulator or by any other institution, can apply to machine SIM cards as it can apply to any other SIM card. So if you want to intercept voice or SMS services, you do that on the visited network, and technically there is no problem with it. If you want to intercept data, you go to the home network, and also there this can be easily done. So what we do need from the industry perspective is to get kind of an okay for the deployment of international solutions in the region, in the countries here, because normally regulators always support the international machine-to-machine business. And for us it's important to understand that the national regulators here in the region also support it, because if we cannot offer our services here, the demand is anyhow there, and then customers do approach us directly, or they approach other international M2M providers, which leads to the fact that the revenues, and as a conclusion also the taxes, do not stay in the country but go abroad. So if, for example, I don't know, a logistics company needs an international M2M solution in Macedonia, but we are not allowed to sell this here, then they could approach Telenor, for example, and then this money and also that potential tax would go out of the country, which nobody wants, I think. So therefore, what we are really positively and strongly hoping for is that the reselling model of international SIMs will have the full regulatory support also in Macedonia, because this will help our local subsidiary to sell the service, to get the revenues, and to contribute via taxation to the good of the Macedonian state as well. And last but not least, I want to mention why it is very important to us that our local subsidiaries can do this, if on the other hand, on an international level, anyhow nothing is refraining us or other telecommunication operators to do so. It is that, of course, we want to have the full support of the local organizations. We want to benefit from the intense customer relationships that they have, and we want that the local team is fully incentivized to sell machine to machine. And having said that, I just want to give you one number. For the time being, it's 1 million machine-to-machine subscriptions in the footprint of Telekom Austria Group, but this will grow very, very strongly, and we forecast this 1 million to develop to 10 million by 2015. So I hope, together with the industry, together with the regulators, we can support also this region to become absolutely state-of-the-art when it comes to machine-to-machine. Thank you very much.